Okay, welcome back to the 436 Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, June 9th, 2022. Hello, Mr. Cash. Are you ready to begin the next part of the workshop?
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for coming back, and we'll see what we can do. As we see, more or less the second person who went through the flight system with his sister, and we saw his, what we call it, thoughts and explanation of what he went through and what he did is with us now. And Mr. Kadik, can you tell us if you're with us at the moment? Can you open your microphone?
Yes.
Yes, good morning.
Best of morning to you and to all of the knowledge seekers as well. Thank you.
Can you speak a bit louder? We hardly can hear you.
Yeah, best of morning to you.
You're a bit too far from your microphone.
Still? Okay.
Maybe not maybe it's a different microphone that's selected or something there.
You have chosen a different microphone.
It's a little bit better.
Yes, it's better now.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I hope you got back home safe and sound with your sister.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Mr.
It
Kadik.
was late, but yeah.
Good one late. Can you tell us yourself about your experience?
The best way I can put it is getting back to what's home for everyone is different, but that was, as I said yesterday, one of my intentions to get back home. And if I were to summarize it, not to keep people too long again, is in a very beautiful way, I got home again, or the illusion of not being at home, that faded away, and it was one of the, I think, the most beautiful experience that I had in my life.
You went to Moon in your talk yesterday because the balance of it was not recorded.
Yes.
We have to get a lip reader to see what you said and text it there in the part which is missing. You said in the part which you're talking that you went to Moon. Can you explain that to us, how you came and how you felt and what you saw and what was there?
Yes. When you go to the moon...
Because don't forget, sorry, we promised on the 6th of June we'll take you to the moon. So you were the first passenger.
We went to the moon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, explain
on
to
the
us,
6th of
please.
June, we went to the moon because it was still the 6th of June. I think that's what you meant.
Yeah.
When you go to the moon,
explain to us how you went through the beginning, how you set up and you went through, please, to the whole process.
So we went to preparation of the 4 seats and the first 3 seats, and as we became more in balance with the fields of all of the fields of the universe, and we got again able to be completely and be more in peace after the 4th system. At one point, that's when you are in the big system. I cannot. That's when everything happens for me. That's when the most of the magic happened, or not magic. Sorry, when most of the beauty showed itself to me, and I was ready to accept what was there. And at one point, after my sister came in, and together with my sister, we were sharing our love and our intention of peace. And as the beautiful other people also came in, we became a team. And every time a new person came in, there is a slight, like a wiggling of the fields for me. It's hard to pinpoint, but because many things were already happening during the flight, but especially when the people came in and you realized that there was finally a balance with 4 people, we were, I think, even though we were not aware of it, or I wasn't, we were working together because the system, the soul of the system is one. Please correct me if that, but I think the soul of the system is one, and we were there. And at one point, we were reminded of the mission by you, and this is when actually the moment you decide to be, that is when it is. And for me, it first felt, the first feeling that I had was I felt abandoned.
Where?
When
Can you explain that? What
at
do you
the
mean by
moon,
that?
at the moon, the moment you said,
How did you feel moving from your position you were in the room to the position on the moon?
yes,
Did you feel anything? Was it instantaneous? Because I asked you all, would you like to go to the moon? Would you like to take a
yes,
flight to the moon? And was that instantaneous, that moment you decided to go?
that's a very good one. First of all, when you asked me, I was I felt agreeableness in myself, and when I had the intention, that is when it happened. So when you were talking, I was already positive about it, and when I had the intention, that is when I felt the shift in, maybe I can say it like the Magritte balance with me and the system. So because one of the things that happens is during the seats, you feel like a soft blanket around you, around your around your skin. And the moment that I had the intention, this feeling of what was around me that was touching my skin, that changed, and the emotion became abandonment. But that was just very, very shortly, because I thought I was trying to assess why I felt abandoned, or who felt abandoned, or did I feel abandoned, or was it the moon, or was it someone from the team? And I just said, whoever or whichever soul it is, we are present together and we love you unconditionally. And that's when that feeling faded, and that's also when the vision of the moon became clearer for me. The vision of the moon was very sandy. It was not white. It was more beige and red and orange. It wasn't like a desert, but more um, like the Old West, like a lot of sand, but also with rocks. I didn't really try to walk with my feet on it yet, but what did happen was that the wind and the sand was, as I said, that blanket of feeling around my skin that I had in the system. It was interacting with that on my shown.
You mean on your shoes?
No, above my shoes, like the down part of my
Leg.
my legs. Yeah.
Were you wearing a clothing, or was it just you as you?
No clothing. It as I said, my feeling was already on the. I felt the change on the blanket around my skin, and I didn't really look at my clothing.
So you could have not been wearing something because you could feel the sand on the skin.
Yes.
How long did it take you to get there? You say instant in your
Yes.
interview.
Because, as I said, you first brought it up to us. That is when I was agreeing with it, but I didn't set the intention yet. And when I wanted it, I realized directly the change of Magritte environment, I should say that way.
In a way, you're in command. you're in charge if you want to
Yes.
do it or not.
Yeah, definitely. But that's also when I do feel difference when every time like then when there are other people, you do recognize it's not that they decide for you. Maybe we should say there is a more other feelings, more other maghreb positions, more other fields that are also there, and you maybe it's like in the background you get some of the whiffs of their fields. I don't know if it's correct, but for me it was different when I was alone in the room. It was more a clear experience. It was still a clear experience when other people were there. It's just there is more to it. As I said also in my interview, the inside of my brain felt bigger. I explained to my parents yesterday, it's like when you close your eyes, you see something black or not black, but whatever you see, that which you see, it became bigger. I closed my eyes and I saw more. It was a bigger canvas. It became 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times expanded. And
Eh,
yeah,
if I send you back to the moon, as now we're communicating with NASA, you become the first Armstrong of the Keshe Foundation, if you realize that. You have become the first person who has taken that leap to go to the moon. So in a way, you're Armstrong, and we want to have a better understanding. You said you talked to your parents. How did they feel about your experience and your journey?
my mother said that when she hugged me and when I was getting closer to her and getting away from her, there was a buzz, a magnetic, like I felt the same when some other knowledge seeker, like Barbu, when he stepped to me, there is like a cloud of fuzziness around him, like as if it's not like you're getting shocked or electrocuted, but it's like a vibrating something that's on your skin, and you feel it from also inside of me. I felt it when I got closer to him, and it's funny because one of my friends who didn't go in, but he was also close to us when after we came out, he said the same thing about me and my sister. He said, without even touching us, I feel a fuzzing, a warmth, a vibration from you. And I felt that from Barbu, and my mother said it also to me. And she said, it's the same with your sister, but a different with you. And that's one of the things. And if I go a bit more emotional, my parents, for them, for my mom, it was for a while a bit, she understood, no, let's say, she accepted what we were understanding, but she was having a hard time to placing it in her knowledge and in her understanding. And as I explained more to her, she gets inspired to understand more of it as well. And because my parents, they follow the path of Muhammad, bless his name, and they know about some spiritual things they come with some Sufis, I should say. For them, some part of the knowledge is easier to grasp, or there's already a reference point in their own understanding. And as they connect the dots and they understand more, they realize more and more what the changes are that are happening and how fundamental the new progress is for the next step of humanity. But of course, they go with their own beautiful speed and their own way of evolving.
How did your sister feel?
My sister, I asked her, my sister felt, I think, as I said, someone asked me after I came out, I make it about me. She said she was also in this beautiful state of bliss. And um, I think someone asked me, and my sister agreed when we were talking. It was the highest state of bliss that I felt, and I wasn't looking for this. And my sister also said something that everyone has even the smallest idea of what it could be, even though I just realized when you were talking before, and please correct me if it's, but maybe even the expectation of getting satisfied with the experience is that you're receiving something. And maybe even that part of expecting to be satisfied of whatever it is, that is expecting to receive. I don't know, but next time I was thinking I already was from time to time, but I think the idea of being able to leave everything behind, because I definitely want to go again next time. I definitely want to go again. At the same time, I feel um, obligation to everyone to develop myself in it as well, from wherever I am, whenever I am. So every night and every time and during the day, I start to try to get back into the oneness. As I said, the system works with you. You work as one. And I felt that every time when someone enters, I shouldn't say every time, but at after the experience, during parts of the day, it was like a wave. I always felt like this this warm pressure, this warm expansion in my head going on, but at some parts it was stronger. And at a particular moment, I told the other two people that were around me, also my sister, I think at this moment Barbu is going in. And later I asked him, "Is this the time that you went in?" And he said, "Yes, that's the time when I went in," because that was the time that I felt again more in the system. Every time I talk about the system, yesterday when I was talking about the system, even when I think about it, I feel again the pressure in my head and my head getting warm. But it's not that I'm saying this to make anyone worried, but it's
It gets
I'm
you
well.
connected with the system.
Yes, and I also say this because I try to love. I try to love what happens, and I'm grateful that this is still a thing. There is one little thing that sometimes gives me just a tiny bit of sadness, and that's that I know that this system is perfect, or this system is beyond what I can imagine as beautiful. And in a way, this is like when you go to the system, when I go to Linz, I compare it like when you're on a bike with side wheels. It's easier to bike, but actually you don't need the side wheels to bike. But that's
You can do it on your own.
yeah, you can do it on your own.
What will be interesting, as I said at the beginning of the teaching, as you are our first man on the moon, as I call it, we have asked NASA to allow us, or let us, we can find, I'm sure most of the knowledge seekers have exact pinpoint accuracy where they said the land Apollo. Would you like to come back and test to go and see if it's real?
I'm definitely willing to give everything to make this mission. That definitely.
What we are trying to do is just to take this out of mysticism into a science, into a technology. So in the next few weeks, we try to expand and extend the knowledge, and how we extend the knowledge and how we extend this to the next step. we had somebody going to the Mars. As I said to NASA people, would you like to tell us or any spare parts for us to take to repair for you? And we speak to them, don't laugh, we speak to the NASA at the highest level. We
Yeah.
communicate with them at the right on the top. When I tell you the situation is, we speak with a few people in NASA, not just one. And we keep them all informed in so many ways. What will be interesting is how would any of us think or feel, and how would humanity feel if one of the knowledge seekers who decides to go to the moon, we give them the address, if they can get there and confirm the leftover of Apollo. What about if we give you cameras, which if they work in that environment, to bring us pictures back?
I have something. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
If there still is possibility to find leftover of Apollo, since there was earthly metals, I think it will be easier for my earthly hands to bring them to the earthly dimension, wouldn't it? Yes.
In a way, yes, because what we say that we can take and come back, you don't go to New York without clothing. You go for a dinner party, you go for a wedding, you take the clothing with you. So that should be a possibility. But we are talking two different gravitational fields, two different environments. And what, as you know, even when you look at this picture on the screen, the left-hand unit is a material enhancement unit, which means we can create materials out of the energy. When you pick up a material with the dimension of your soul of physicality or soul of the man on the moon, you convert it, it becomes part of your environmental maghreb system. It's like when we put the plates in the GANS boxes, they're not in the water anymore, they're in the magnetic field of the nanocoated copper plate. So when you come back, is we have this process of what we call material enhancement unit. Would we be able, if you say you pick a hammer up on the moon, when you come back here, we can keep the shape of that hammer? Or would we get the materials of it as a dust? Or while you come back, we create the condition of the place you were, and we ask you to put in a special box, and then we seal it, create that condition that we still get a hammer. These are all need to be done. This is what then technology needs to be developed. But the interesting part for all of us will be is, why are we confining ourselves to man and moon and other planetary system here? We have endeavored to go out beyond Earth to moon, and now we have the facility to go. What about other positions in the universe? What about we choose a star, we choose a planet? We know you can go to the star because one of the participants tells you that she went back to star and felt peace. But we go beyond this solar system. And as Gadek said, instantaneous. Can I ask you a question? Because you said it in a very simple way. It was instantaneous. How did it feel when you found yourself on the moon so fast?
That's a very... I did not feel very surprised, but I was very quickly accepted the new situation. but there was a very slight shift in my emotional balance, also in my emotions, not just in my McGrath balance of the field, what I already explained. In my emotions, let me try to be as accurate. I felt slight happiness, but like, or
Achievement.
that feeling wasn't that strong, but maybe that's very strongly linked, and I'm not recognizing it yet. But yeah, maybe we could say that, like the slightest form of, okay, good. Now let's move on, something like that. As move on, as in let's try to add to this new situation, and let's try to continue.
You said there were other beings with you. Were you aware of who and what?
It was, I should say, because at points I thought maybe it was you, because a few times you were walking in the room. But I then also realized that because the way the other beings looked, they were darker. Like, I looked around in my surrounding, and there was like clouds of darkness, but not darkness sounds very weird, but instead of a light that we see when we look at UFOs now, it looked like a dark light, like the opposite. And that's why I thought maybe that's, but that's just the way it looked when I was looking around. But when I focused on it, it became light.
Did you see different lights, or was it all the same?
I only focused on two, and that's when my sister and you were in the room. No, not my sister. Yeah, it was only you two, I think, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
They were, because my sister was in a big system and you were not, that made it a bit for me difficult to distinguish the lights. I think, but I cannot say, oh, I saw your light, but yeah.
It's awareness of something there.
Yeah, there were two distinct like darknesses, and they later turned to light when I focused on them when you two were in the room.
How do you feel now? What's your emotion? What's your feeling?
I feel excited for giving more for the future, and also very honored that I get to speak to you and to all the knowledge seekers here again. I am, especially at the beginning when I started talking, the system, I felt again very presence with the system. But now I feel more as when I got out of the system. But that's a good thing. Like, when I got out of the system, I was very happy and I was very beyond ecstatic, but in bliss, and that's opening up, flowering in me as well. And I don't know if I said it in my own testimonial or when I was with my sister, but so the way I see it was, when you do soul travel, when your soul expands, but for different reasons, maybe my soul and physicality were not able to completely move on to the transmutation or transposition, and only my soul at one point. And as I said, slowly, and especially when time got on, I was in the bigger system. I started sometimes smelling a smell, and it wasn't like a perfume that was in the room constantly. It was just a smell that was thrown at me for a second. Or and again, I love smells, so maybe because that's the easiest way for the soul of physicality to show itself to me. I don't know. It was the same with what I said to my Sean with the winds and some dusts. Maybe because I wasn't focusing on there at all. I wasn't expecting these things. And at one point I was thinking, because you were saying the noise, it gives us an indication. I was thinking, would it be? And so I started to didn't want to experiment, but I started to notice that whenever I was more in what I call the bliss situation, it was more of an equal sound. But I don't wanna say too much about this because I know that people.
Did you feel any wind in the room when you were in the system?
So again, same with the wind. It was very not constant. Like sometimes just randomly at a random place in my body, but that's like as if
No.
someone throws a bubble at me, a bubble of wind.
Because some people who've been in the system, they speak about feeling a wind, physical wind touching them.
Yeah, that's the best way of saying it. It's not you're going through the wind as I have experienced on the earth, and maybe that's for the future, but it's like small instances.
Yeah, but there is nothing dynamic rotating air fans or anything in the room.
No.
There is no, we made sure that there is no, what do you call it, physical motion, movement of matter state. The only thing is when somebody comes in, you feel, or if I go in and out.
Yeah, no, it's not the door. It's not, that's because you notice that wind. You also, it coincides, maybe you don't even notice it, but of course, when someone opens the door, the noise of the outside, it grows and then it closes and whatnot. But when I said it's like a bubble of wind at a random place in my body, that was a bit different.
Would you go back to the moon?
Definitely. I was planning to explore all the places that want to be explored and that want to that there is a beautiful position for more peace with the humanity and the souls that are present, but also the moon. And the moon felt beautiful. Especially going together to the moon felt also pretty nice.
Anything else you want to add?
At this point, what comes in me is a question.
Yeah.
It is two things, actually. Two questions. One is, so for example, when you go to a moon and you find, or another planet, and you find a rose or a flower or something that might be a flower to them, and you take it with you, could it be that it becomes a rose here, but it's actually something, it doesn't look at all like a rose there?
Could be, because you if it's a living thing, it has to accommodate itself to manifest itself here. This is what I said. It's very interesting with we had this with 2 or 3 people who took that journey and they went to places and they don't see themselves as human, complete or partially human. We had this, so this explains a lot. But the same as we go, and if we don't want to change, we don't change. It's the same with them.
Yeah.
If you bring a living thing, has a soul, and
Yes.
that soul has to accommodate itself if it wants to manifest here.
If it wants to come, even I cannot just take it. I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. The way to do it, as I always say, says that I love to show you the others to appreciate the beauty of you. Yeah. Not grabbing and run.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes.
I mean, okay, I always want to show my beauty, so I'm coming with you, show me to your friends, I'm a flower or whatever. You understand?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it might be totally different thing when he appears here, because he still wants to maintain his, what do you call it, his life, his survival.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? It was an interesting process going through with you on Tuesday. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What was the purpose of you moving the controls in different positions and conditions?
The reason was that I tried to give my understanding to the system. And I hoped that maybe if I understand better the system works, then I can give more of my understanding. And one of the ways that my understanding expanded was, especially with the controls, if you, the way, maybe this is just for me, but if you put more pressure on it,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually, if you put more pressure on the controls, the pressure from your head goes a bit away.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that happened, especially because I also got reminded of the beautiful teachings of Mojan Andreas, and they are very useful for everyone who wants to. No, I shouldn't say very useful for everyone. They were very useful for me in trying to be have more understanding about the flight. About what the body shape looked like in the aura fields or the magnetic gravitational fields beyond the physicality, and I tried to see how we could like expand the understanding of this interaction so that there is more to we can interact better with the system. That was my reason.
Well, because you moved, I've never seen anyone moving these arms in a very systematic way, and people usually sit and hold them on their lap. With you was more or less moving. It's just like a weightlifting. You're positioning it in a different position.
Yeah.
And I thought, what does that mean? How did it help you to do it? Or
Yes,
what did it help you with?
So one of the reasons I chose one of the positions was I wanted to see, because if I stretch my arms as far as possible, that is for my physicality a boundary of interaction. So I wanted to see how it would be in that boundary with the system, interaction with the system. And one of them was, I wanted to see if I brought them more together or more apart. Because also, I think they were also explaining how every finger was a different, how it's like a different field of Maghreb that it belongs to. So I was like, what if I bring it closer to my soul of man seat at my head, or farther away? Or if I hold it from the back, what kind of different interaction would it be? Also, I already know it's within me. If I just stand here in my room, it's different. So I was giving the system all of these knowledge, like trying to give more of the knowledge of my understanding and interactions.
Thank you very much. Is there anything you want to add?
I add endless love to you and everyone else, especially all of the souls, and I'm looking forward to continue to expand the knowledge together.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the journey you took. And I hope we'll learn more from you and other knowledge seekers which go through the system.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Is there any other question that you want to ask Karak of any of the participants?
I was wondering if you could describe a little more about that transition, both before landing on the moon and leaving the moon. How was that? A little more about the emotion or that transition. What was the effect on you, and how did you achieve that transition? Was it instantaneous in the moment, or did it take a few seconds, minutes to go through that actual transition?
So, as I said, let me just try to go step by step again. At the point that I was reminded of the mission, I was already at the deplasmization. Or am I saying deplasmization? Yeah.
Yeah, you're on the matter state in the system.
Yeah. Yeah, the last one. I was at the last seat going back. So you go up and then you go down, or progressively. And I was at the last step before leaving, and then I got reminded. So I was trying to. At that point, it's maybe good to context to know about me. When you're at the fourth step, so the big system, that's a completely different MAGRAPH positioning that the soul has than at the last system. And at that point, when I was at the last system, I was retrospectively, I understand, more ready to go back to Earth, because later when I was in the car and I was moving around and we were going for dinner, and I just realized I had to reposition myself in a beautiful way again on planet Earth, and that was different. And it's good that we have this deplasmation system. But so I was already pretty much on ready to be in balance with Earth. And when this moon mission was reminded, so I was more. This is good to know. I was more in a balance with Earth, and then we got reminded of it. And while Sir Kesha was speaking, I was feeling agreeableness within me. I was like, yes, this is what we came for. Of course, we shouldn't. It would be beautiful to go with everyone, because he made like we go together, you go together. That was the agreeableness. And at the moment he stopped talking, and that's when I wanted to set the intention. The moment I said, I didn't even put it into words with thoughts. I said, it was like, I wanted it. Like the desire started flaming within me, and it was just a spark. It was the first spark of the desire. And then first of all, what happened was, again, I felt more within the stronger fields, because that's probably because someone else was in the big system. I think at that point it was my sister. She was in the big system. So I explain it as being because we were again connected with each other for the mission. It was.
Did she go to the? Can I ask you? Did she tell you she went? We forgot to ask her. Did she go to the moon?
Yeah, for her she did. She definitely said I went to the moon then, and but after she went to the moon with. I didn't ask her too much about it. I should ask her again. One of the things that she did say was the moon. She felt not alone at all at the moon. She felt very connected with everyone at the moon. That was very like a beautiful contrast to my experience, because I felt at first instance not
I
that.
wonder.
Yeah. And something else that she said was she also went further. So she didn't stay too long at the moon. Maybe during our mission she did, but she felt very very much a desire to go further and go to Mars and go to Saturn. And
did she make that? We forgot. I don't know, because the recording is blank. She most probably has said it on it.
yes,
On
yeah,
the
she did.
recording, but there is no sound with it.
She did.
We gotta get her. We gotta get her and discuss it more and to understand. So you're the first brother and sister on the moon.
Yes.
Rick, has ever a woman been to the moon with NASA operation?
Gee, I don't think so.
So we have the first woman on the moon through the Keshe Foundation process. Well, it'll be very interesting. What is very interesting for me, which I think, if you don't mind, Gadek, I come and I explain it because you brought it up yourself.
Mm-hmm.
This is, you come from the Islamic world.
Yes.
And in Islamic world, moon is sacrosanct, is holy, and it's one of the biggest problems of going to the moon for Muslims. How do you feel that you achieved this?
How do I
as a Muslim person with the respect and honor moon is carried within Islamic society?
If I was to explain it with the way that more Muslims would easier connect to my explanation, is that everything happens with the permission of the source. And if I have and we also, if there is a sincere wish and the source accepts this wish, this is your given right. So we had the wish to go. There was no ill intent. We had respect for all the souls, and we were accepted. That's, I think, a way to put it, because the sacredness of the moon is less pronounced within different
Sects
different.
as well.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't take away from that. It's a very valid way of questioning this.
It's not questioning, it's enlightening to keep the respect.
Definitely.
Because I come from the same background, and I remember the day when it was announced man has landed on the moon. My immediate family, aunts, great aunts, coming to the house and saying they are trying to mess up with the Islamic world, that they said they went to the moon. There's impossibility. But on the other hand, in a way where you come in and your sister, and it was very respectful to see your sister in Islamic clothing, in a beautifully dressed, and serenity she carries with her, and you're the same. Does the religion counts in this game of traveling the space?
Well, I would say the religion is just a part that came later, because it's about faith and it's about following the path of what all the prophets came to bring to us, was the same message. So it doesn't matter which name, which perspective you name, because as you always remind us, it's about doing good, speaking good, and thinking good. And even with, if I say, for example, an example of our beautiful Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that he said, if something happens and if you don't like it, try to change it with your hand. And if you cannot change it with your hand, try to change it with your mouth. And if you cannot change it with your mouth, try to add to the situation with thinking good thoughts about. So I feel that is one of the, what they say, sayings. It's true and true the same message. And I already believe that and knew that, but just as a reminder for everyone else who, this is the same.
I'm sure. Thank you very much. I'm sure we're going to see more, and we hear more and more people who the moon become not fashionable to fly to very soon, as more and more people do, and we've seen them going. It would be nice if you ask your sister to make a recording of her thing, because we lost it in the microphone being whatever happened to it. And if you could let us have it, that we can add to the archive.
Yes, I'll do my best to make a beautiful addition.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to see you and your sister. It was a beautiful time to travel with your soul. Are there any other questions from Quebec?
We do have Lynn here as well. Our panelists.
She put her hand up. No, the Chinese ones come to you. No. Okay. Thank you very much, Kadak. And wish you all the best, and I hope we see you again. Maybe
likewise.
I get a piece of hammer or whatever next time you go to the moon, whatever the Americans left behind.
We do have a couple of questions here. Perhaps we could ask.
Yes.
First, Stefania in the Q&A had a question earlier. Can we make a music concert on the moon, or make a party?
Is that Stefania from Italy?
Yes.
What do you expect from Italian food?
Want to go to the moon, have fun,
Just
drink
have
some.
fun. Don't forget to bring your bottle of wine with you.
Yeah,
We don't know. You have to try. You have to wait till we extend the fields into the whole, what we call it, flight room. We had a very interesting experience. We not only, they think it's me, but not only me. Sometimes it's three of us from Keshe Foundation. Sometimes one or sometimes two of us in the room. People don't know who comes and goes. If unless they look, we come to assess to see what the position is. We have one person continuously in watching that nobody touches anything, nothing goes wrong if any system fails, and in a way training for the next sessions. And one of us comes and goes quite often, and first time we could feel the fields about 10 centimeters from the system at the beginning of the day. And then in the latter part of the day, we could feel the fields very strong when we came into the building. You feel it, it's just like a whack, hits you with a hammer. And then one of us in the room, because we continuously, people can't hear us, but we whisper to each other, what's this, what we see, what needs to be done. He says, I get these patches of buzzing in my head and it just goes away. And it's like a pressure buzz, magnetic field buzz. And then we listen to the machine, what the machine says, how they react, how they pronounce or show the field strength. From the experience we had in Sanya, testing two systems, we have a very, very clear system, very understanding. When we run the systems, hopefully, because we have to complete the system before we initiate the other one to come in, as it's getting now adjusted and set to go with the fresh system. You hear it, you hear a noise of communication, and it's very vocal. You hear the system noise. It's like they're talking to each other. We expect this to happen between those systems. You've got to realize something very, very important in a way, is now we run into 100 reactors in that room, plus maybe over 150 reactors in that room. These are special reactors never seen in public. These are not something you ever see. They are not in public. We don't release it. But what is interesting, if you go back to the experience of 129, we had 129 Tesla. Different system. In this system, when we put the two systems in, plus the head units, the vision units, we have a massive cosmic plasmatic field. It is not a earthly field. We have no system to measure it, but we feel the forces of it. As it was said, it's like the wind. So in next couple of weeks, in next coming time, we expect to create a massive cosmic field which suits every created things in the universe. I designed it this way from the beginning. In a way, you don't need to come into the machine. We can take the machines out. And we go into the satellite system, as we call it. And you can travel. You come in, maybe 10, 20 of you. All the Italians are renting a bus, we've been told. They're coming in a busload. And you get in the room together. And we see where you go, how it goes. Bring your wine, bring your, guitar, and see if you can have a party on the moon. This is not out of reach. This is something, technology for it is there. The facility has been made for it. And Stefania tells me Italians are getting a bus to come. Don't forget your wine and cheese. And don't forget your spaghetti And let's see if we can rock you on the moon. We don't let you to play in the building, but bring whatever noisy instrument you like to rock on the moon and see if we can get you there. Now is not a dream. It is for us to be able to transmute many, many souls at the same time. And I think it can be done. Maybe we get half of you there, the other half will end up on the other side of the moon, the other half go to Jupiter and Mars and come back. You know, Italians can't keep them in one place. German came with a very much serenity, very, German mentality, precise everything. And we have them tomorrow and they have them the days after. We need the noisy Italians, unruly a lot. And let's see how we can accommodate you. And if we can get you there. We have tried now with 4 people. Kadek was one of the 4 in there. So it can be done. Now we want to know if we can land you all together in one place on the moon. And please don't bring the whole base of the Apollo with you back. Leave it there. Just bring a small piece if you go there. And leave the American flag behind because they've done a lot of hard work to put it there. Maybe you can put the Italian flag next to it. And when you come, bring the Italian flag. See if we can take your Italian flag to the moon and plant it there as we've been, as is traditional there. There is no limitation, is our technicians which have to create that condition. We see possibility, and when the system was set, when I went into the, what I call flight zone, it's quite possible that many of you will experience the same thing at the same time. Give us a couple of weeks. The room, the system works all the time. Even when we switch off the system still works. You can always have the connections with it. And Italians, please get your wine sorted out and cheese and olives. And let's see if we can take you through that transmutation and transportation.
Well, the cheese might go bad by the time NASA gets there. You might want to wait a little bit for the party because they're planning on sending a woman to the moon in 2024.
We already been in 2022.
Yeah, that's why if you have a party there, NASA's going to be late.
No, but we
the
have
cheese will be moldy.
I tease the NASA mission control people because we have a direct line with them, and they literally laughed their head with us. And the video yesterday shocked them. That the video yesterday went to a number of NASA management team and the rest has caused a big concern with them. And we'll see. I think when we bring back, we can do, if it's possible, if our knowledge reaches that point, a piece of Apollo, if Apollo has been to the moon, and give it to them to analyze it themselves and confirm this is the piece. That will bring the change in the game. It can be done. As I said, enhancement units, material enhancement units, which we have is part of the structure of the system. So it's possible, quite possible. But you have to tell us when you got it. You can tell us, I've got the hammer in my hand on the moon, because you're physically still partially with us through the dimension of the soul. And then we have to tell you exactly how to behave when you bring it in. It has to be brought in a specific way that manifests itself in a material state. If it comes in any other way, it will burn out. It will be not burn out, it will be dissolved in the fields of the plasmatic fields. As who was it yesterday said, it's like a sugar in the water. You dissolve. We would like to keep the integrity of it. And it'll be nice if he says made in USA, and they can confirm his composition. If we be able to do that, it'll change the space game. Because at the moment it's just the talk. I've been there. And now one of our first steps in next few weeks is to get the Christians to confirm to us if they've seen the Christ. That's one of the most important things for us. And then the next step comes if we can manifest the soul of Christ in the system. We cannot give it physicality, that's for sure. But let him speak. That is 100% possible, not 99%. That's 100% possible. And I promise you that fish tank, the fish tank is made, isn't in Litz. It's a room. If you can ask him to be there till the Pope arrives and see if he accepts his master. These are reality now. The system are fully operational. We have to find you. If you are from Middle Eastern, Palestine area, descent, you're Armenian, you're Palestinians, old Palestinians, the Jews in the old part, you have to be, we got to, and you're in a condition we can bring you in. We might, through your descendants, see if there was a witness to the crucifixion to get to see it, the full explanation of it. But bringing the soul of Christ, it should be as easy as ABC. Now we've seen how the system works. You got to understand all the people you've seen on the interviews, even Gadak, it speaks about others being present. Now is for you to ask who the soul of who are you? Or ask from the souls, can you show me the soul of Christ? It's as easy as ABC. And that knowledge is with us. Yes, carry on.
Well, I want to insert the question from Iris here because it's relevant. And she asks, why is the so-called Christ energy important for the whole process, since religions are going to disappear anyway?
Which process? What process? For us, you mean?
I think, many processes is part of all. Yeah. But she says you mentioned Christ very often, and we are messiahs already. So why the religious connotation there?
Yeah, because it closes the abuse of the soul of the man by Christianity. This most abused system. Many, many people have been enslaved to it. And will bring the soul of the kings. Will bring the soul of rulers who we want to know how they did, why they did. I told you, the man history will be rewritten. Many, many times I've referred to this. We hear it from the history makers. And will bring the whole past of the past to the present through the souls. We are not going back to the future. We're bringing the souls which made that future at that time. We have to train our people as to go through the system, how and where and what, and then we'll get the answers. We'll find answers, we'll find solutions to many, many things. One of my wishes is to bring Tesla back and go through with him to understanding of the totality of his mind. Tesla did and worked maybe 10% of what he had with him he wanted to do. He had marvelous mindset. Any other question?
Yeah, we've got a hand up
Let
with,
me
sorry.
tell. I have to tell you something. Sometimes I have to. Why I chose the Christ? Because he's one of the most innocent of all the messengers, compared to what the rest have done. He did not put his hand to kill. He never raised a sword, and that's the reason. And the whole purpose of us in the whole process of the work we do is to get man away from killing. Christ is the only prophet which did not dirty his hand with murder. He did everything else wrong, but he didn't kill. Moses created bloodbath. We know what Muhammad did with the Islamic world and the Iranian nation. We know Buddha, in a way, in a diverse way, in the background, did a lot of other works which was not public. And we know from the present prophets or messengers which we run to, this Christ is the only one which never committed the murder crime. And that's why. Any other question you have from Kadek or this topic?
Well, we have Gatwa with just had a hand up for a while here. Perhaps we can hear from him and see what he has to say.
Thank you very much, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Kesh.
Good morning, Dr. Gatwa.
Yeah, thank you very much for what you have brought, all the knowledge, the new science, and it's enormous. It's not even realized yet. But from my brief thinking about what you have brought and what it means to this world and the universe, it's definitely a new era. So we now know of the common era, the Christian era, or whatever you call it, either before or current or common. So since you have changed that completely, perhaps it would be best for you to be the one to name the new era. So what are we going to call the new era? That is question number one.
There is no new era. It's no new era. It's a new cycle in the science. It's a new cycle in understanding the process of creation. Nobody can claim it's new. It's been there from the time of creation. Now we understand it. You know, if you never had orange and somebody gives you the orange first time, it doesn't mean it's just been created, just because you never had it before. There's no new. When you call it a new and you're joining the universal community to be part of, there is nothing new. It's just new to you, but it existed all the time. So it's not a new era, it's just for us. We understand a little bit more of creation. And we haven't even started understanding all of it. Once you start claiming that kind of thing, you become too arrogant, and it's the beginning of the end. We start unraveling the knowledge which already exists for us, because up to now we've seen it, but we never understood it. We were like those who thought the Earth is the center of the universe, and the first guy who said no, they hung him in Pisa. Now we are at least more open-minded. We don't put them on the news. Even though a lot of religious leaders would like to see my neck on the news, because it's the end of the job, shop closed. This is the beginning of understanding for us as a human race the knowledge which already exists in the universe. So it's not a new era, it's just that addition to what we know. We had to get to know the magnetic field, we had to get to know the communication, the way it is, it's not shouting over the hills and drumming. Now we can do with telephone satellites, and now we see how we can use the technology to be that point. And in the near future, if you understand the systems and you manage to expand your souls, as many of the people you've seen today or yesterday in the talks, they can connect to the system without being there. So now you have your satellite, you have your, what I call central point. And the more systems we make, the more they connect, we create that umbrella, that physical condition to expand. There's nothing new about it. We just arrived. As you know, it reminds me of the McDonald's in Moscow. When they opened the first McDonald's in Moscow during the communist time, I went 2 or 3 times to get a McDonald's. It was an impossibility unless you paid somebody who stayed in the line for 24 hours, you bought his spot. That was people just hanging around, joining a queue that they could sell a spot to somebody else for a McDonald's. The McDonald's was, you could buy it from any shop, anywhere in any of the major cities around the world, but was new to Moscow. And everybody was queuing up around the block for 24 hours, more or less, to get served. They were serving 1,000 Big Mac an hour, just to get rid of the people. So it's not new, it's the same thing. The knowledge is there. And now we understand it. We understand a small part of it, which I hope will bring us a big dividend in the most of it. There, as many of you helped us to set up and donated and loaned us the funds to set up the new factories and the new process for it. Once the funds arrives and we get the things moving, we're not going to do, as I said, the process of building. We're going to build a new structure with a new technology. Not going to clean up CO2. We're not going to find out a cure for something or something else. Why do we have to find a cure for everything when we know by elevation of the soul, going through the boundary of the physicality, most of the problems of the man in a physical dimension can be sorted? We've seen it. We don't want to speak about the health application of the flight system, but I speak to the people who come out of the room. I've seen, I've literally heard people who came in, they didn't come in for flight. The lady said, I'm not interested to fly. Where am I going to go? But I was interested in this, in me, and I have achieved what I came here. Or at least I see the beginning of the opening of the doors. Are we going to find a new GANs for such and such a thing? Or are we going through the elevation of the soul that not cleanses, but energizes the whole body? You create a new condition. Would the conditions you have with the new fields would exist? The sugar is at the bottom of the glass in the cold water. You heat up the water, the sugar disappears. That's all this knowledge is, the strength of the field and acceptance of it. We are all in it. All of you participated to bring this in. And we are all in it, and it's the next step on it. And when we did the flight system last week, we didn't hide and we did something. People going to links, there is something hidden somewhere you can teach the soul. It's on the internet. It's available to all of you. This is what it is, unconditional love, giving without condition. I could make billions out of the systems and technologies. Why? I take nothing with me. But in helping all of us, we participated, especially in the last leg of it. Now, when it comes and receive the funds which are supposed to come in to get us, it'll all go to elevating you for the new science, for the new technology. We are guardians, we are not the owners. And This is the next step. And I hope with all of us and people in China, in Iran, and everything else, we bring this in through. But don't forget, ask yourself a question. If you go into this system and it's getting better, and you start traveling, the first time was exciting, you didn't know what you're doing, but now you know where you're going, what you want to do, would you come back to Earth? I promise you, 90% of the people going through the space travel will never come back. Because they will find peace, they will find what they need, they don't need to worry about the food tomorrow, clothing today, the pain, the illnesses and the rest. It'll be good to come back home, as many of you want to go home, but home will be something to visit and go. I don't have time to stay, it's too hot here. I have to wear winter clothes, I have to wear summer clothes, I have to look for the water, and I have all the problems on top of me. So the process is ongoing, and we're going to a step of evolution in science. And now it's not anymore Microsoft or General Electric or Toyota, it's Keshe Foundation. And it's the totality of us who are doing it. And this is the beauty of the new science. I don't own it. I'm just the messenger that deliver it. And at the same time, I make sure that systems for it to deliver it are there, but you have to educate people to see it. You see, it's when you listen to Kedek, you just look at the voice, we look at the different dimensions of it. He says he feels there's somebody coming to the room. He feels the presence. He doesn't need to open his eyes to see, because there are three other people, two people, or me go in and out of that. He feels the presence. He felt the presence when the first part of the couple came in, and he says he didn't feel balanced. And I can tell you why he didn't balance, because what the character was, who was the person who went in. Everybody in the room who were there and after had the same feeling about the guy. The same emotion. It wasn't just Kedek that he felt something unbalanced. This was the character of the gentleman. And we're watching, we're observing. It's very much like going back to Rick magnet table. We put another magnet in. Everybody adjusts to. Now that magnet is a ball of the soul. Somebody's microphone is open. And this brings a lot of understanding. You just listen to what they say. We analyze, because this gives us indication the souls are sensitive to movement of plasma in the room. And how much of it we can cover with ourselves that we don't interfere when we come and go, and how much of it is when we add a new magnet into the table. That's all it is. And how one soul is a taker. It's amazing how we analyze. The team, the group came, they all know each other. They're all friends. But in that process of friendship, we could map out, I could, because nobody introduced, I could map out who in the group is what. And then I came out and I watched them. I see them in the dimension of the soul and what they say, and I see them in the dimension of when they're out in a live condition. I pass through, but I observe everything. How they stand, how they're isolated, how they're greeted, how everything is, how they try to influence that they are correct and do something the way I want you to say. That's why if you hear Kedek and his sister, the first time they talk is when they sit in front of the camera. If you listen to yesterday, it's us to understand, to accommodate, and we are learning. There's no new technology. It's just we understand a little bit of the technology of the Creator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kesh, for bringing us that to that stage of new understanding and for your beautiful answer to my question. Now, I have another question.
Yep.
Going through the world news this morning, I didn't see anything about the new flight system or anything about Kesh Foundation, for example.
You will never hear anything about
matter.
us.
So the thing is,
you will never hear its impossibilities.
So that's what I wanted to ask. Why do they?
There is a ban by the Fox organization, which more or less controls 80-90% of the world news, on Kesh Foundation. Fox News controls everything, and if they don't want you to, you don't know. And if they want to fabricate everything we see with the war in Ukraine, they fabricate it and just put that out because this is what they want. And just because people hear that part, they believe in it. Put it this way, we know how the technology works. They cannot control the internet, and we see how many of us are and how many people around the world work or do or have to do with the technology. The most beautiful thing is, in a very short time, the Fox News will be foxing it, because when the souls communicate, who needs internet? Who needs television? Who needs to listen to the news, which is all lies and fakes? As simple as that. And we are in such a beautiful time with the development of technology that, in a way, who cares? Let us bring the technology and spend the energy in going forward. Let's see. We're not looking for confirmation of news. We're looking at confirmation of how much technology we can bring out that brings that change. There is a total ban since 2012 on Kesh Foundation. No news articles, no newspapers, nothing, except if they create a negative and they put it only on the internet because they can't put it on the paper. So, who cares? Did Kadak go the trip? What hundreds of people are coming to go through the trip in the next 6 months, 12 months? Would the next step will be what you do? Do you care if it's in the Fox News and you can come from Kenya to Linz and be here for a lunch and go back? Does it make any difference to anyone except you that you can do it?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kesh. Actually, I don't care if it's in the news or not. But I was just wondering what...
No, we don't care. We don't have anything. We don't care because we have established a new structure and the people who want to be around it. And you will see now that we have put this unit out. We get people coming in and we see regular people coming in and we can do this. You will see the change on the program in the internet, how people will come and how it will change. But we are not there looking for a change. I haven't come here to be famous today and go, I've come to do a total change that will last thousands of years, and man never kills again, man never does what is done. That's all. Great.
And finally, Mr. Kesh, do you want to tell us in the background what the world or the governments, their reactions, what are they saying? And thank you very much.
We tell you in about 4 to 6 weeks' time. There's a lot happening in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then you will see. We heard what they do. We heard what they say. We see in the process how they are, but it will bring in. Why it'll bring in what the government say is, once we complete the process of bringing you from Kenya to Austria instantaneously, government have to react. Can a man from Kenya come without us knowing? when we fly you from here and you sit in the White House in the Oval Office in front of the president while he's having his lunch, who's this guy here? It becomes like the Queen. You remember a few years ago, somebody out of nowhere appeared in Queen's bedroom and nobody knew that Queen eats out of Tupperware. When they arrested him, they brought him out. He said, I was in the room when she was having breakfast. She eats out of Tupperware. I wonder how many of you will come and say what president was eating in the Oval Office. You don't need permission. And that will be the next step. Then then they'll decide what to do with it. At the moment is people talking. As I said to NASA, show us a hammer when you bring objects so we can get it confirmed, when you can do things, and we have to complete our systems. Our systems are not complete because it takes time. Our people have to understand, we have to develop systems to make the system. Then it's a different ballgame.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you
We
very
look
much.
forward to living in peace.
In
The
peace.
peace that your technology brings is amazing. And we
We'll
look
see.
forward to a peaceful world. Thank you.
Be amazing to see. Thank you very much. Rick, shall we call it a day? We already had a 4-hour session yesterday.
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much for being here. And hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll see more, we add more, and we'll see how it comes. Please, I repeat, because we've seen it, do not come to the LINs unless you're accepted and you have the time, because the doors are kept locked because of the way we work, and you will not be let in. And some people say, oh, I'll come and camp outside. You can camp outside for 20 years. Go through the booking, get your time, and come in. Thank you very much. And hopefully we see you on Saturday with any of the people who want to going through the system, want to make any videos and report on it. Thank you very much, Rick. Thanks for the whole application. I'll see you in the background. See you most probably Saturday. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kish. Thank you. Okay, another wonderful workshop here, the 436 Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, June 9th, 2022. So our next public workshop, other than the special workshops that may come up in the next day or two here that Mr. Kesh mentioned, and we will announce in the usual places. We do have on Monday coming up the testimonials meeting for people to give their testimonials, and it'd be great perhaps to hear from some of the people, or we can at least show some of the experiences that people have mentioned that have gone through the flight travel system, the space travel system. So that's coming up on Monday, June 13th, coming up. And that starts at, see, that one's at the 8 p.m. Central European time. Okay, I think that is it for today. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you in the next public workshop, hopefully in the next day or so here. Okay, I'm going to end with the Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version, so you can clap and dance your way out of the workshop here, and we'll see you next time around.